Inner Quest explores various pathways through which you can connect with the infinite wisdom of the universe and apply it to personal, professional, and spiritual growth. This program, featuring accomplished practitioners, educators, and authors, is provided by Infinity Foundation, an innovative center for holistic studies and research. We invite you to share this journey with us.
Hello, welcome to Inner Quest. My name is Jay Stone, your host for today, and our guest is Dr. Dena Mendes. Welcome, Doctor.
Thank you, Jay.
Is it okay if I call you Dena?
Yes, absolutely.
All right. Dena is the director of Dena's Healthy You. She's the author of A Survivor's Guide to Kicking Cancer's Ass. I can say that on TV. And you're published by Hay House, which is a well-known publisher of wellness and spirituality books. Dena received her degree in public health and broadcast journalism from Arizona State University. She holds a Doctor of Naturopathy degree, is certified health coach, holistic yoga instructor, holistic chef, and pranic healer. So Dena, tell our audience what started you on your health and healing journey.
Well, I think that like many practitioners, we get started out of the need to heal thyself. So when I was about 17, I ended up with spastic colon and colitis, and I had all sorts of digestive issues. And of course, my mom was taking me to all the regular doctors, the regulars we call them, and they were putting me on all manner of meds and pills that caused 13 other side effects. And then finally one day, miraculously, somebody had introduced my mother to my first natural doctor, who I refer to as my first guru in my book, under Gurus, Guides, and Elixirs. So when I went to him, it was as if may as well have been speaking Japanese. I didn't understand a word this guy would say, and I'd say to him...
What kind of doctor was he?
He was, well, you know, back then they really didn't have titles like we do now. So there really was no exact title for him. It was just Max. He was just Max. Max, my guru. And so I went to Max for years, since I'm 17 years old. And he absolutely fixed me within 3 weeks of something that, you know, they said you'll have the rest of your life.
So you don't have any digestive problems?
No, no. And because I learned from him that our number one really line of defense is the primordial soup, so to speak, which is your gut flora, and making sure that that gut flora is intact,
and that
it's the highest quality.
And what did you learn to keep your intestinal flora intact?
Well, so there's fermented food, i.e. kimchi and cabbage, fermented cabbage. There's things like that.
Do you make your own?
I make my own. I actually make my own, and I love it.
Do you grow your own cabbage?
No, I do not grow my own cabbage, but I do have an organic garden, but I don't grow my own cabbage. But that's a good idea, though.
Yeah, I do.
What season is cabbage?
Oh, cabbage. Well, you can harvest it now, which would be September.
Right.
And then there's late cabbages, October, November.
So that's the fall, right? So it's cabbage and kale. So yeah, so that's not a bad idea.
Yeah.
And then of course there's the flora the yogurt you can make, which is great. And then there's the because we know it doesn't come from Yoplait, right? Mm-hmm. So and then it's taking the actual pills, or I like to do powders and liquids versus pills as much as possible. So I'll do my Ultraflora dairy-free powder from Metagenics, which is on my website.
Okay. And why do you say people need to be an active participant in their health care?
Well, because I've seen what it's like when you're not. So how my book starts, the first chapter is when the shit hits the fan. I can say shit because you could say ass, right? So when the shit hits the fan, you want to make sure that you're empowered and that you know what's going on and what time of day it is. And I didn't. They did a lumpectomy for a small pea-size precancerous totally encapsulated tumor in my breast, which was a trauma-induced tumor. I had slammed my breast in a car door, don't ask. And out of the scar came a trauma-induced tumor. And the doctor, when he did the surgery, did not do what's called a frozen section. A frozen section should be routinely done to make sure that they get clean margin groupings, especially if it's a tumor the size of a pea or a small tumor, just to make sure that they got it all. He didn't do it. He sent me home, called me 5 weeks later. Oops, I didn't get all of your totally precancerous, totally encapsulated pea, and opened up a can of cancer worms, and it's been 12 years. Bone, lung, brain, liver, every kind, all over, neck. So because of that.
What's all over?
Cancer.
So
spread everywhere.
So you had cancer throughout your entire body?
Yes, for 12 years, yes. Yes, and I've had to kick ass and figure it out and figure it out.
And do you have cancer now?
And learn to be an active participant.
And do you have cancer now?
No, I do not. No, I am cancer-free now.
Okay.
Yes, right?
I hope,
high five on that one.
Okay. I hope you stay that way. Yeah. And then you can help other people.
Well, that's exactly what I do.
I would hope more for prevention than recovery.
Yes, exactly.
That's the key. Now, you call your book "Kicking Cancer's Ass," but don't you? There are some people who feel like you don't want a fighting mentality.
Right.
But I'm.
And I talk about that in my book as well.
Well, why don't you talk about it now? Because
right.
I think people need to hear the other side.
So I talk about the balance between effort and ease, just like we learn in yoga. Sukha and Sthira, right? So just like in yoga. So yin and yang. There has to be the poet and the moon and the warrior and the sun. So in every aspect of our life. So in certain elements, when I have people call me who are living in fear and they're gripping and they're scared, and I tell them, listen, pick yourself up, dust yourself off, grow some balls, and get out there and kick some ass now. And here's how you're going to do it. You're going to pick up all your weapons like a warrior, which is food is your number one weapon. That is your number one weapon is food. Your number two is ripping yourself open to new ideas, new modalities, new protocols, supplements, new fermented food, qigong, tai chi, colonics, coffee enemas, totally expanding your mind to new things. Okay, so you have to gather all your tools and all your weaponry to fight. Then there's the element of letting go. Mm-hmm. Letting go of the past, letting go of the need to be sick, letting go of old anger, old hurt, old frustration and anger, which rules the liver, old grief, which rules the lungs, old fear and anxiety, which rules the kidneys. So there's that element as well. So just like yin and yang, there's both. Okay. And it's a balance.
Okay. And so what is the connection between food and disease?
Everything. Matter of fact, here, I'll just give you a little example. I had a client come to me the other day, 2 young parents, 28 and 32 years old, 4 kids all under the age of 6, and the little boy, 4 years old, diagnosed with diabetes, supposed to do 6 to 10 shots a day. I didn't put him on a pill. I didn't put him on a shake. I didn't put him on anything. The first thing that father did was say to the doctor and the nurse and beg them, there must be something else we can do. Can we change his diet? The nurse and the doctor looked at him and said, no, diet doesn't help. That kid, after just working with him for 4 days, he's on 0 shots. 0 shots.
And are they monitoring his blood sugar?
They're monitoring his blood sugar, and not only that, the doctor did get angry because they actually can track you in your home to see if you're giving your kids the shot. And he said, well, I see that his blood sugar level spiked twice. He goes, yes. And then our natural doctor said, drink water and urinate it out and wait till it comes down, because what we want to do is retrain the pancreas to work harder for you. When my kids were little, they needed glasses. I didn't put them in glasses. Guess what happened? Every year, year after year, the immunity of their eyes got stronger and stronger and stronger. They're 16 and 14, never been on an antibiotic, never had a pair of glasses. I'm not saying this for everybody. Thyroid, same thing. The minute you go on thyroid medicine, weakens the thyroid, your thyroid doesn't know how to work for itself anymore. This little boy, 4 years old, if he would have went on that medication for the pancreas, insulin, need more, up the ante, and never taught the pancreas to work again. Now it's been 2 weeks.
And also, if you never treat the causes of it.
And by the way, there's an emotional component to every dis-ease. So we looked at the emotional piece of this little boy. His mother was in fear and anxiety while she was pregnant with him, working on his kidneys, doing kabuki, soothing his kidneys and adrenals.
What is kabuki?
Where you take, you know, if you're laying on your stomach, you take the 2 kidney spaces here. Mm-hmm. So I wish I could show you. I don't know if I can, but, and you rock. You lay them on their stomach and you rock the child and you soothe them, and it's like they rock back and forth, you know, sideways with your fingers in their kidneys. And it's very calming and soothing, because kidneys, like I said, are like fight or flight, fear, anxiety. So there's just something to be said about all the pieces of the disease, the dis-ease puzzle, the physical components, the mental components, the emotional components.
Well, there had to be a whole change in that family in order to help the little boy.
And by the way, the whole family did it. They all jumped on board. They rallied together. They all did it together. And the father, who was on pain medication, every day for his back or knees, or I can't remember what he said it was, but he goes, I'm on no pain medication. I feel the best I've ever felt. They're all sleeping great. They all have more energy. He goes, it's unbelievable what food does. None of them took a supplement. We didn't even get there yet. He goes, it is incredible. Let thy food be thy medicine, chapter 5.
Mm-hmm. And, well, did you go in their house? Did you? They must have had to learn how to cook.
Do you know that when they came to me, they didn't have a plethora of money to spend. And so I said, let's do this as efficiently as we can. I have a cookbook on my website that's free, www.denashealthyyou.com. It's free. So, and I do that for people. It's an anti-inflammatory cookbook. They use that as their tool. I took them to Whole Foods. I whipped them through, showing them snacks and alternative. There's an alternative to everything you love. Gave them all the alternatives. I left it up to them to clear out their pantries and refrigerator. But they were living on all packaged foods, all sugar. Every one of them had dark, kidney circles under their eyes, puffy, which is kidneys under the eyes. They all had that. They were all living on packaged foods. Now they're eating real life foods, throwing greens with everything. Even the kids are eating the greens. And the reason why I'm good at what I do is because the food actually tastes yummy. It's actually delicious, and kids love it.
Well, what are some of the healthier choices you taught the parents to feed their children?
Well, here's a great one.
Okay.
Lasagna.
Mm-hmm.
But it's tinkiata pasta, which is no wheat, no gluten. It's brown rice pasta that tastes, it's the bomb. You could serve it to your kids' soccer team and no one would ever know it. Soya cast cheese, which is the best, I think, alternative cheese, which is it melts great, it tastes great. They used grass-fed beef. Now, a lot of times kidneys can have 2 reasons for depletion. It can have the sugar reason, or it can have, which is the yin reason, or the yang reason, which is too much heavy concentration of poor quality animal fats. Well, this is a 4-year-old. That wasn't his issue. His issue was sugar. So of course they're doing the grass-fed beef, little amount, but also hiding the greens, chopping up Swiss chard, chopping up tiny in a Cuisinart to hide it in the sauce of the lasagna, and they loved it. The kids loved it and ate it all up. Mm-hmm. And they're all doing it. So that was just one. They did tacos one night with, organic, no wheat, no gluten tortillas. They're brown rice tortillas. Those are amazing too, by the way. They're by Country Life. Okay.
Now, you say there's a correlation between emotion and disease, but you just can't say to someone, oh, don't have fear, don't be anxious,
right.
Let go of the anger.
Why can't we do that?
Yeah.
Why isn't it that easy?
Yeah. So how do you help someone, work through, let's say, an emotional trauma, or someone who's genetically predisposed to anxiety?
Right. Well, that's where the modalities that I talk about in the book come in. Breath work, qigong, yoga, kids do things like this now. I had a whole family come in for a healthy immersion, which is like a 3-day immersion where we do everything. We do from coffee enemas to yoga to breathing to qigong to food and cooking and all of it. So I had a pancreatic cancer client come in, and his whole family did it. His kids, his wife, him. And one of the things we did was we taught them all, because the kids were so anxious about their father. I mean, they gave him, you know, months to live. By the way, he's fine. Pancreatic cancer gone, fine. They did everything though. I mean, all of it. They did energy healing. They did pranic. They did qigong. I took them to qigong. They did breathing to help them sleep. It changed all their lives, the entire family. So yes, you're not going to do it overnight, but also food is a huge component to changing depression, ADD, hyperactivity, anxiety. Why? Because it's inflammation of the brain. When you eat like that, it's not just your body having these symptoms, it affects the brain. And there's actually chemical imbalance in the brain when we eat like crap, right? When we eat inflammatory causing food, sugar, wheat and gluten, dairy, all that stuff. There's a great new book out I love, by the way, called Wheat Belly, which talks about, you know, about wheat. So it's great.
Well, people have been eating wheat for hundreds of years. Why such...
That was a different kind of wheat.
Yeah.
Because when our ancestors made wheat, they made, it wasn't biochemically engineered, which all our wheat is now, which a Wheat Belly, the book speaks about, but it also was, they didn't use that glutinous structure that they're putting in everything, all the packaged foods to bind everything together for, you know, months and months and months, so it could be on the shelves and then be in your home. So when your great-great-grandmother made bread, it would fall apart after a day, right? There was not the preservatives, it wasn't biochemically engineered, it didn't have, you know, the glutinous wheat structure in it like it does now. So it was totally a different bread, totally a different animal then, right?
Mm-hmm. Okay. Now, you talk about acid and alkaline in your book?
Yes,
okay.
That's a biggie. That was what we first talked about with the primordial soup and the flora, the gut flora, which is your terrain, your garden, right? So when you want your garden to grow, you want it to be more alkaline than acid. If it's too acidic, which then I get people with acid reflux, and it's so funny how they can't figure out why, and I'm like, well, the coffee, the alcohol, the sugar, you know, all of these, the meat, right, all these acidic causing. So I remedy a lot of that. You know, people don't want to completely lose their favorites. So they'll make deals with me. Can I keep the alcohol, you know, one drink, or can I keep the meat? I said, if you do the grass-fed meat and you load up the whole plate with arugula and watercress and Swiss chard, you know what I mean? And there's exchanges. You can make deals with yourself.
Right. Well, and also people eat proper portions of meat.
Exactly. Exactly. Not that steak that's like this big, right? Exactly. And fish and interchange it and have maybe once a week where you're having meat and then the rest fish and beans.
Well, how can someone tell if they're too acidic?
Well, and that's the other thing I talk about in the book is about gaining that new sense of yourself, you know, knowing thyself, being your own detective, your own health detective. So, you know, there's signs and symptoms, and the body's a brilliant machine, and it will throw a kicking, screaming temper tantrum when it doesn't like what you're putting in. And there's no simpler equation than 1 + 1 = 2. There's no simpler equation than what you put in is what you get out.
Yeah. Well, I know... like maybe burning sensation with the urine maybe could be too acidic.
That burning sensation coming up, the you know, acid reflux. There's, you know, toxicity bumps. Pimples for kids is acidity and too much sugar and inflammation.
Yeah, and also I think there's litmus paper that people can buy. Do you recommend those? I do, and first morning urine is best, but you can do it under your tongue. And yeah, those are great. Those are great. All right. And you have a chapter called Recombobulate.
Right.
What is that about?
Well, I think that when something like cancer comes your way, or really anything, because now there's Sjogren's and there's, you know, there's all these autoimmune issues. So when any big catastrophic thing comes, you really need to think about the idea of recombobulating your whole life. So there's revamping and renewing, and in my book I talk a lot about that, not just with your body, but with feng shui, with your car, with your home, with your surroundings, your friends, people in your life.
That takes, inspiration, creativity, imagination.
Or a good book.
Yeah, yeah.
To tell you how.
Well, still a good book will help a person change from the inside out. Like you did, your changes, in my opinion, occurred from the inside out.
Yes.
You directed yourself through your instincts that were leading you to better health.
Yes.
Your instincts say, stay away from those foods or stay away from those healers and go over here.
Well, and my book talks a lot about following our intuition, learning about how to follow our intuition, and a lot of that's been clogged and muckied up, and we're living in a fog because of the food. Mm-hmm. That's a big thing too.
And do you have any ways your readers or your patients can cultivate their intuition?
Well, I think that, again, I think that starts to come with changing the food, clearing. I talk a lot about it in my book about just really being quiet, praying and asking for that to come in, for Source to give you guidance.
So meditation, prayer?
Meditation, prayer.
Do you have a specific recommendation, number of minutes per day or times a day?
You know what? I'll tell you, a lot of my clients will say to me, it's really hard for me and I don't like to sit still. And I said, you know what? I'm right with you, sister. I don't like it either. So I go do Qigong, and actually it's free on Tuesday nights at Cancer Wellness Center. It's an unbelievable class with a great teacher, Rich. He's amazing. And when I start to do Qigong, I go into deep samadhi meditation. And it doesn't mean you have to necessarily sit still to meditate, to go into that one-pointedness, that samadhi. You could do it painting. You could do it with something you love, sculpting, painting. I like to inspire people who come to see me to get into their right side of their brain and do something creative where they're losing that time and space and they're just deep one-pointedness, and that's meditation. Even that's meditation.
Okay. Yeah, I would agree. Well, meditation is defined as extreme state of focus or concentration, or as you put it, one-pointedness.
Peace, right.
Or meditation is defined as like a healthy state of emptiness. So
I love that.
The voice inside our head, it's
ceases to exist.
Right. So
yes.
they often referred to as ego death or no mind.
I love that.
So you don't have a mind of your own, but
right.
a mind of God or nature, the universe, however you
right.
want to put it. Why is detoxification so important to each person's body?
I think that we've accumulated so many toxins over the years, no matter really what our age. We live in such a toxic environment. I mean, I talk about it in my book. I say, not to scare you, but there's hundreds of thousands of chemicals and toxins and things that we live with on an everyday basis, not only just from our food, but our environment and from everywhere, and emotional toxins. So I even talk about emotionally detoxing in the book. So really, I think that that's a hugely important thing to do. Coffee enemas, colonics, detoxing with even just fasting and lemon water and things like that. And
how
depending
long would you
on the
recommend
season.
the fast?
Well, it depends on the detox. Depends on depends on the person. Depends on what they're doing. If they're in the middle of chemo, I wouldn't suggest it. I don't suggest detoxing until you're done with something like that. So it depends.
Yeah, I was going to say that if you're truly following a proper diet, you're fasting every day.
Sort of, but it's still...
Well, what do we call the first meal of the day? Breakfast. Break fast.
Break fast, because
Yeah.
you're breaking your fast because you've gone all night without eating?
Yeah.
There's certain occasions where you could go a day or two with no food and just really liquids and drinking and apple cider vinegar and things like that, which is fine. But it depends on the time of year. Also, it's liver season in the spring. I love when people tell me in the middle of winter they're doing a detox for 28 days. I'm like, if you're doing a hearty root vegetable kidney detox, like, good for you. But it's really tough when you're doing a liver cleanse when the liver's closed for business. It opens for business like a bulb out of hibernation in the spring, ready to be cleansed, shaking off the dirt, so to speak.
Okay. And what spiritual lesson or inspiration did you get from your own dis-ease?
What spiritual lesson? Did I write that question? I want to know. Did I give you that?
I think you did. Well,
I think everyone has the aha moment. Everybody gets that aha moment.
So what was your aha moment?
So my aha moment was when I looked at it and I said, oh, that's why I needed to get this. That's why I needed to have this, and keep getting it and getting it. Really to get to know myself on a deeper level, to love myself on a deeper level, to have more gratitude, much more gratitude, and to share more unconditionally, and to really, I think I'm here to give service, and so I always say God's not trying to kill me, God's just trying to teach me a lesson, or two or three, but so that's
were you in natural healing before you were diagnosed?
I was always healing everybody. I was always fixing. I was the fixer.
I mean, did you have a doctorate degree?
No, I didn't. No, but I was always kind of fixing everyone behind the scenes and healing everyone. And then when I was like, you know what? This is like what I do. This is I have a great intuition for this, and I love it. So
it gave your life more purpose and meaning.
Yes.
And gave you an opportunity to share and help other people.
Just the other day with the kid with diabetes, I said, if I did nothing else in this life, and I left next week, I feel like, okay, I was here for a purpose. I did something. I was of service, which is meaningful for me.
Now, why do you recommend being selfish, especially for women?
Yes. Well, and not just women, because there's men obviously too, but typically in our society, women it's the right side. We're the givers, the givers, the givers. We've got the kids and the husband and all, the friends. We want to be all things to all people, and we're always, giving and giving, so much to the point where a lot of times, and it's interesting because when I'll check to see what side is the breast cancer, when people come to me with breast cancer, left is the receiving side and right is the giving. And it really tells me a lot about the woman when she tells me. And typically when it's right, I say to her, are you feeling really depleted? They sometimes will have express a lot of codependent symptoms and be very almost over giving and over nurturing and over mothering and over caretaking. And so I teach them a new sentence, and the new sentence is, that's not going to work for me. I love that sentence. It says so much.
So women
That's
are being,
not gonna work for me.
we only got about 30 seconds, but when women are being selfish, how should they use the time and space for that period?
On themselves.
Okay.
On themselves. Yes, really doing, wonderful, terrific, great things for yourself. And they need it, especially if they're so depleted they're getting, cancer.
Can you give me, like, a woman needs to spend 30 minutes a day, an hour a day on herself?
You know what, it depends. I think if you have small kids, it's hard, and then 30 minutes would be realistic. If you're going into your own space, I talk about having your own space.
I got to wrap it up. I'm sorry.
Well, thank you so much for having me.
But for more information about Dr. Dena Mendes, the Infinity Foundation Inner Quest Talk Show, stay tuned to the credits at the end. Until next time, wish you good health, good spirits, and good fortune. Thank you, Dena. It was a pleasure.
Thank you so much. It was really a pleasure.
For more information about this show, our guests, Infinity Foundation, or any of our other programs, please visit our website, infinityfoundation.org, or call us at 847-831-8828.